Well, hello everybody out there. I do apologize for being extremely late again, but welcome to the live echo. This is Pepper's Echo. My name's Andre, and good to see everybody out there. Let's take a look. See Buzzy. I've got Buzzy out there. Dylan Combrink. How's it going, Dylan? Always good to see you, my friend, and my wife. Wow, little small intimate group that we are today. 3 people watching. Must have been scared off today. I was actually on a video call with friends in Cambodia, so that's what sort of pushed me to the 8 o'clock, and then I was trying to get everything set up. I don't know why my phone's ringing now. I don't know who it is out there. Sorry, just the phone's ringing and everything. So we're all a little bit behind. Also, the fact of the matter is, when you get a little bit of extended public holidays and that, they want their holidays worked in that you might get additional. So today being Sunday isn't a Sunday, it's a Monday to me. So I started work at 7:30 this morning and I finished at 5:30 this afternoon. So I've literally run into work and run out of work. And then I had a phone call from our friends in Cambodia. And this light on my camera, is that better? I hope sound is okay. I don't see Cameron. I know he's around because I did see a message come in from him on my phone when I was busy on my call. But So how's everybody? Buzzy's good. Dylan says, hope it's okay. Yeah, I hope you're okay too, Dylan. I hope everything's going well. It's been quite a hectic week. Yes, the reason why we had to work today is because for Labor Day. Cam, how's it, Cameron? I got a message from you, but I was on the line to friends in Cambodia on a video call. So I didn't get to look at your message yet because I sort of had to jump off there and come straight here. So I do apologize. Sound great stuff. Thanks, Cam. I'm going to have to sort of get this thing to go a little bit back because the camera now is a little bit close to me and a little bit hectic. So, but otherwise, I was telling you, so for Labor Day, Labor Day, you guys should be on a public holiday on Thursday. 1st of May, I think, is Labor Day in South Africa as well. I don't know. I think so. It's International Labor Day, so anything for a public holiday in South Africa. But in China, they don't have a one-day Labor Day public holiday. They actually have Golden Week, which is a huge traveling day. So you'll find in Chinese New Year, people go home to visit their families and to be with families and things like that. And then when it comes to things like Golden Week is week that they travel around and they go all over the place and they visit. I was putting a thing together for my students on what people do in Labor Day, in the Golden Week Labor Day in China. And I was looking, I think the wall, the Great Wall takes something like 1.2 million tourists. Everything is just a massive crush. Yeah, you sit tight. You don't go out if you don't have to. It's the last thing you do is go to a attraction, because everybody goes to an attraction, especially on these holidays. The West Lake in Hangzhou is just overcrowded. Everything is just crowded because in the Golden Week in China, they actually travel and they go and see the attractions and everything, and it is just absolutely packed. We actually looked at seeing if we can go to Hangzhou because I need to get to the doctor still. And we went to go and see if we can go to Hangzhou next weekend, seeing as Golden Week falls there. So we don't have just the Thursday public holiday. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we only go back to work on Tuesday again. But one of those is one too many or something like that. So we have to work in this Sunday. So to work it up. So we have Monday's schedule today, Monday on Monday and Tuesday and so on, etc. So yeah. Cam was saying, all I said is you get comfort zone and survival zone. Most of us are just surviving. Yeah, no, I'm not saying everybody's is sitting comfortable. I definitely agree with that, and that's why we will have a little chat. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, because I was talking to my friend now in Cambodia, and the one lady in Cambodia, she's been a teacher there for easily about 6 years at the school where I was, and she's now going back to South Africa. Arbot, our six, no, sorry, Arbot, I nearly insulted you. Our 7-star Michelin chef. How's it going, my friend? Always good to see you. I think of food when I see you. But yeah, but and my honest opinion and question to it was why? Because why? I don't know. Sorry, I'm eating. The nice thing is this is dried apple. But you don't get like a bag with pieces of dried apple in it. You get a bag with individually wrapped pieces of dried apple in it. So these have all got mini apples in. So you get a whole bag of mini dried apples in there. So we try not to keep sweets and stuff around the house. So instead of sweets, we have dried fruit and bananas and stuff like that. But where was I now? I was talking about Arbot. You see Arbot. The minute I see you, I think food, and I just lose it totally. But yes, we're going to be on public holiday for a week called Golden Week. We're just going to be sitting tight in our apartment. First of all, we don't really have money to go all over the place. And secondly, it's very, very, very busy. And it's starting to get quite hot at the moment as well. It's really, really getting quite hot. So you want to be near an air conditioning. Oh, I was busy telling you about, geez, like I'm getting old. I was telling you about the teacher, and she's probably our age. And she's like, no, she's quitting. She's going back to South Africa. And I'm like, what for? If she had a business there, or anything great or something, and she was single, old lady, old maid, whatever. I'm not saying any of you ladies that are single or old maids, but all I'm saying is, what do you go back for? I was actually talking, the guy that I was actually on was old DVD. And his parents, his mom, his stepdad, and his brother and his sister all moved to Cambodia. End of last year, I think it was. And so that they're all moved up to Cambodia. And I'm looking, if when Ina gets something or gets some work, I'm looking at buying an apartment. Probably going to get DVD's wife, Sapir, to help us, and purchase a apartment, just one, maybe a 2-bedroom apartment in Siem Reap in Cambodia, for us to go and retire in and pay it off and just rent it out while we don't need there. And yeah, if she can help us to secure it, we'll pay it. And then when we're not there one day anymore, South Cambodian kids becomes theirs. So yeah, and Siem Reap is a very nice, clean place. It's where Angkor Wat is. It's where there's an aquarium there. There's Kulin Falls there. It's sort of more your tourist area. There's an international airport there as well, and it's a lot cleaner, and it's extremely, extremely cheap to stay there. So I figured, you know what, if we do have anything, we started really, really late trying to put some kind of nest egg together. Unfortunately, the only place that we can invest is in South Africa, because when you want to invest in any foreign country, they want a passport of that country. So I can't go and create an investment in the UK. I can't create an investment in the US. So yeah, we'll see what happens from there. But I had to do an investment through a broker in South Africa. It was a guy that I know, and hopefully it grows somewhere along the line, although the way that those gollywogs are carrying on, I don't know. At least that stopped. The DA nailed them in court, and then they couldn't do anything else, so they decided they'll try and look like heroes, and they won't put the VAT in. And they were like, we'll think about Fikile Mbulele. I was watching the thing live there. I was in school with Ronaldo. And what a twat. What a twat. Really. Just as well I don't do politics on my channel. I try not to do a lot. I do sometimes pull them out and things like that. But I don't think I would be able to maintain diplomacy as well as many of these political reporters, like old Ronaldo, like old Chris Wyatt. I was watching Joe Emilio. They're all in the links below. Joe Emilio was responding to a video of a guy that was talking about Joe Emilio. He was talking about, oh man, absolute snot. And I thought to myself, if that is the mentality, the IQ, the actual thought process of South Africans, then I have even less hope than before. But that is why it is in South Africa's government. Once again, I promise you, it is in South Africa's government's best interest to keep the majority poor and uneducated. Because while they are poor and uneducated, they can be manipulated, propagated by the apartheid, racism, things to that effect, and they will keep the current ANC government in power, who will then piss on the country, including their own people who don't even know it. Basically, they're telling them to go to hell and making them look forward to the trip, because all they are worried about is their top pockets. Cam wants to say VAT has not stopped. They said that the court has to specify, so VAT could still happen. Oh, my goodness me. The last I saw today on News 24 is because they stopped VAT. Let me just take a look here. Because they stopped VAT, they were taken out in court by the DA, and let me just take a look and see if it's still up. DA, oh, piss off. Sorry, I need to log in now. Jeez. The DA beat them in court, and then they decided they will settle out of court, because obviously they were going to stop or something like that. But then they decided they'll try and make themselves look like heroes. So without passing it through any form of legislature, everybody tried to jump on the old bandwagon and go, oh, look at us, we stopped. I mean, Action SA, what a poop. Mashaba twat. He tried to, no, we were looking out for the best of our. No, you weren't. You were trying to suck up to the ANC, and he's like, what could we done? And then the ANC is like, oh, but we looked at the best interest of our country and for all our people, and what a twat. And all they had to do it was because of the fact that the DA had actually whipped their hinds in court, and so they were going to do an out-of-court settlement. And now they've turned around and said to the DA, sorry, we've decided not to implement VAT, so the 0.5% VAT. So the court settlement now is off the table. We're not settling anymore. And so now the DA is filing a supplementary affidavit to officially block the VAT hike. It wants to block VAT change throughout the court order. And also there was something that I looked this morning, they were looking, court officially blocked the ANC, despite Finance Minister Godwana via a statement and official gazette that VAT would no longer increase. DA Federal Counsel Helen Ziller filled in a supplementary affidavit in the ongoing case to block Godongwana from implementing the increase on the 1st of May. There have been important legal developments on the VAT matter that requires the DA to file a supplementary affidavit with the Western Cape High Court last night. Ziller said the supplementary affidavit was necessary because despite Godongwana's U-turn, the VAT increase will still be effective on the 1st of May. I see what you're saying there, Cam. Unless the court specifically issues an order to prevent this. The dispute between DA and ministers have not been resolved, although the minister has indicated that he no longer supports a 0.5% VAT increase as a matter of law. The actions he has taken will not prevent the increase coming into effect on the 1st of May. And I'm assuming that is because they didn't pass it through legislature. They can't sort of go home and come and have a cup of tea by my place. Yeah, how's about we don't increase this VAT? Okay. So the DA argues that even if the High Court sets aside the physical framework or the fiscal framework, which Parliament now agrees it should, it won't prevent VAT increasing. The SA Revenue Service's apparent view to the country is plainly wrong. Its advice to vendors, which contradicts the minister's own position, creates further confusion, the DA said. Claims the court case pivots in Godwana's VAT thing. I'm not going to go through it because I'm sure Chris and old tech dude Ronaldo have covered it copiously already. But I was just looking, and also that they were saying that that they're still looking at chasing up the fact that they need to get court costs. Court costs. That's a big thing that they need to look at doing. But yeah, upside days. Just take a look at something here that I wanted to take a look at. Right. Gonna have to make this one a little smaller. I'm not going to see over there. I'm not going to see over there. Let's see if I can make it this way smaller. Sorry, I'm trying to open up a couple of screens at a time there because I want to open up a video, YouTube video. So I actually did this with the students the other day, and I obviously had a slideshow and everything like that, which I don't have right now. There's two things that I'd actually like to talk about tonight. Number one is the fact of pushing your comfort zone. And it's a TED talk that was done by a I'm not too sure if she's Cambodian or Chinese or whatever, but an Asian lady. She studied in the US. She comes from, I think it's from China. She made a couple of really, really good points, which actually got me thinking, because I stop a lot of what I do. Now, as I say, I do, yeah, let me just put up what you said, Cam. Yeah, Cam says, you get comfort zone and you get survival zone. Most of us are just surviving. Agreed. Orbot says, hello, everybody. I don't know where I got there. It just slipped my fingers there. So, but what I also did find is that a comfort zone sometimes is a familiar zone to people. Like for me, sometimes it's not a matter of being comfortable. It's a matter of being familiar. And this is why you will find that a lot of people, what did I throw out now? Okay. And that's why you'll find that a lot of people, even though they are in a bad situation, still feel that they do not want to get out because they don't see any way out of it. And we'll get there. But there's a couple of things. It's small things that we're talking about on comfort zones is not necessarily saving the world, but there's things like being able to show vulnerability. There's things like being able to do what you want to do, taking the leap. And sometimes it's doing less than earning more. So you know what you might be earning. Like myself, I was earning fantastically well last year. I've dropped 10,000. So if you multiply that by 2.5, you could say my salary, if you wanted to move it to Rand, I have dropped by, what's 10,000 times 2.5? 25,000 Rand in salary. Nice. I had a great salary, medical aid, flights covered, meals, accommodation allowances, nothing like that. And a 25 and a 10,000 RMB salary drop. So, but I wasn't going to move. Even almost to the day that I was moving, I was kind of like asking them, can we see a way straight for me to be able to stay? Because this is what I knew. This is what I would be in. Although I was absolutely sick. I was absolutely sick. But so I'm not saying that you're in a comfort zone when you're in a non-choice zone. All I'm saying is if we take a look at people around us, maybe people that you're trying to help, or you're looking at different people, we're not necessarily talking about circumstance. We're talking about a zone that is preventing you from making a decision. Straight out from preventing, when I talk to the kids, I'm talking about preventing going to apply for a university, applying at a job because I don't think I'll be able to make it. I don't know what it's going to, what if I get rejected, to actually asking a girl on a date, picking up the phone, speaking to your parents, saying something or whatever you'd like to do. But Jarius Jungi, let's actually do a bit of a share screen there. How do I do that? There. I hope you're going to be able to hear it. Tell me if it's too soft. And I hope you can hear it. Please tell me if you can't. We'll play a little bit of it. The full video is connected down here.
It's a cold and foggy winter morning, and I'm standing on the world's tallest bungee platform. The platform I'm standing on is so tiny that I have to stand on my toes and balance myself against the wind. The operator ties one end of the bungee cord to my ankle and throws the slack in the air. I can feel the weight of the rope on my ankles slowly dragging me down. I look down. All the buildings and roads are buried in heavy fog. There is only one voice in my head.
How's that? That's an actual picture of where she was going to bungee jump.
So I turn around and tell them that I want to quit. And then I see a huge quote printed on the glass window right next to me. Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. I don't know why, but this short yet powerful sentence gives me the final push, and before I realize it, I walk straight back to the platform and jump off the world's highest bungee platform.
That's her. Now there'd be like brown stripes and sap running down the side of me, splashing down that building if it was me.
During the 5 seconds of free fall, I remember thinking to myself, it's not as scary as it looks. And that thought led to a whole new world. Every time I hear the voice of fear in my head, I can't leave this job because I'm not going to find anything better. I'm scared of entering a new relationship because I don't want to be hurt again. And even a minute ago, before I walked onto the stage, the voice was repeating in my head. Every time I hear that voice, I take a deep breath and tell myself, it's never as scary as it looks.
Okay. So sometimes I would say that people who have opportunity often wonder why people who get given opportunity don't take the opportunity. So we can actually start with her powerful opening story. Take a look how she describes, because when you are fearful, when there is something that has tickled those fear buds of yours, you can remember what was playing, you can remember how you felt, you can remember the air, you can remember the gloominess. Now, it wasn't great weather for bungee jumping as it is, and I don't think it was a good height to start from. It's one of the highest buildings. So notice how she actually describes her fear and then her doubt creeping up from fear as she experiences it before taking that leap. So she looks at actually her senses. And something that we've got to start taking a look at. I need to, because a lot of the times, you know what, you act emotionally, and then you wonder why you are not getting a grip on things. It's because you're emotional. A lot of times people have said to me, Andre, you wear your heart on your sleeve, which is not a bad thing because you're happy to open up to people, but can be a bad thing because often it cancels your diplomacy, your correct thinking, your decision making. And so she can even get to the fact, her points that she discusses, number one is her physical sensation, her physical fear, the moment of decision. And what does her decision become? Her decision becomes, I want to quit. With so many opportunities in life, people want to quit. And I know there's somebody sitting on the outline and going, you know what, if I just had that opportunity, why would you quit? You know, there's a guy who's flying a helicopter looking at a guy in an airplane going, I just wish I had one of those. And there's a guy in a car looking at in a Lamborghini looking at a guy in a helicopter saying, I wish I had one of those. And there's a guy in a normal car looking at the guy in the Lamborghini saying, I wish I had one of those. And there's a guy on a motorcycle looking at the guy in the car going, I wish I had one of those. And there's a guy on a scooter looking at the guy on the motorcycle saying, I wish I had one of those. And there's a guy on a bicycle looking at the scooter saying, I wish I had one of those. And then there's a guy walking who says, who's looking at the bicycle saying, I wish I had one of those. And then there's a guy crippled, sitting without legs or crippled, not being able to walk, looking and saying, I wish I had 2 legs like those. So wherever you feel disadvantaged, there's always somebody who would do anything to have what you have. Her transformation comes, however, when she turns around and says, I'm going to quit. I'm not doing this. This is madness. And you can see that that's her actual video. She saw a quote against a window that says, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. I don't know, but have you ever in your life faced something similar, a moment of fear before doing something or something challenging? Have you ever faced something challenging or had something challenging stare you that actually created a sense of fear in you? And you know what most people do is they go and think of the most dangerous thing that they turn down. The very, very most dangerous thing. And then it justifies why you're in your comfort zone, because if everything's comfortable, you can turn it down. But how many old people have been given the question, what would you do if you could have your life over? And they're busy dying. And how many times does an old person say, I would have lived? Let's take a look a little bit further.
Let me take you back to the summer of 2007. A remote village in Cambodia, a small room in a domestic violence victim center. It's my first day of work. I walked into the room and was introduced to an 18-year-old girl. Her name was Chia. Chia was so emotionally, physically abused that she was trembling all the time and she couldn't even look at me in the eyes. And on her face, I saw fear, anxiety, and shame. And that day, Chia refused to take our help and went back to her husband. And in the course of the next few months, she would do that again and again, only come back with more bruises and cuts. Chia knew that she should leave her husband, but she was scared to because she had been married to him since 14, dependent on him for survival, and did not know that she could live a life on her own. To help Chia, and thousands of other girls like Chia, I started a vocational skill training program. After 3 months of training, magic happened. Chia regained confidence and dignity, stepped out of the fear of failure.
Okay, I've actually gone a little bit further to where I wanted to go. Let's take it off. And we'll return to what she's saying. And this is why I've asked the question, I've begged the question of, what is a comfort zone? Is a comfort zone a place where you're comfortable, a place where you're happy, a place where you're safe? And she talks about a lady, 18-year-old, 19-year-old in Cambodia named Chia. And she is not in a very happy relationship. So let's get back to the part. What affects our daily lives? Is it because we are comfortable or familiar? Is a comfort zone comfort or familiarity? And now I'm not talking about survivability right now. I'm going to take a look, because most people go, he's in a comfort zone, he's happy. And if you're taking a look at somebody who can do something, I mean, what do you do? We were actually having a talk last week about a lady who needs to help another lady who is in abusive relationship. In her free fall during this bungee jump, she came to the profound realization. And what was that realization? Taking it a little bit further. Your own voices of fear, identifying them first. You're not going to get out of your comfort zone without your own identifying your own voices of fear. Different things, career changes, relationships, even public speaking. And I know this is one that I absolutely hate, is the power of self-talk. Now, I always say positive talk doesn't help anything. I don't know, even in your situations, even in a survivable situation, have you ever experienced a fear in your life that you've overcome? That you've had to overcome? Because she ended up looking at this lady, finding this lady, Chia, who was married, and she'd been married pretty young, so she didn't have anything. And, you know, in Cambodia, not everybody has the opportunities that are around. And so a lot of them are living hand to mouth. That is why you will often find young ladies happy to latch on with older foreign flippin' disgusting men or something like that, because it is money for them to survive. It is money that they can help their family with. They can survive. So for them, once again, and it's a very, very important fact that Cam pointed out, it is survival. But she was in a relationship or married to a local guy, and he abused her. He beat her. She was a victim of domestic violence. They tried to help her. They took her out. And this is what we were talking about yesterday. You can help someone, but you can't get involved in it. They took her out to put her in a place of safety. And she actually returned to her husband multiple times because she knew no other. She knew that she had food on the table, that she had a roof over her head, although she was beaten to shit by some undeserving, arrogant man. But she could not see a life for herself. She could not see how she would survive. She could not see how she would get along. Her comfort zone was not a happy comfort zone, but it was a familiar zone. She was familiar that there was a house, there was a bed, there was a table, there was food, and there was a roof. And that for me was survivable, and that for me was a acceptable, familiar place. That was her comfort zone. Not very comfortable to me. And although they took her out, said, hey, let's help you, she still returned. Let's go a little bit further.
Found a new job in a local hotel and separated with her husband. She started a new chapter of life at the edge of her comfort zone. Chia might be an extreme example, but I can see myself in her, and maybe you can too. What is it that you're not doing because of fear of failure? finding a new job, starting a new company, or asking someone out for a date. For me, it was the fear of public speaking. Whatever it is, I encourage you to try it because as Chia found, and I found, and I think you will find too, it's never as scary as it looks. And you're stronger and more capable than you thought. The second story is about embracing uncertainty. My friend John lives an extremely comfortable life in Hong Kong. He works from 9 to 5 and receives a very good pay. But he's dispassionate about his job and life, and he's constantly complaining. He has lived his whole life with certainty that the fear of losing what he had is stopping him from pursuing his passion. Until one morning, I got a call from him. Hi, Yuvin. I went to a positive psychology class last quarter, got so inspired, I quit my job today and I'm moving to Australia. You what? What are you going to do with your life? I asked. He said, this is the first time in life that I don't have a plan, and I feel every bit as scared as I'm excited. The next time I saw him was 6 months later. He just got back from Australia, a licensed hypnotherapist. From a trader to a hypnotherapist. I was shocked when I saw him again. His face was pink, eyes glittering, his whole body was just glowing. He is living his dream right now, traveling around the world, giving workshops and therapy sessions for thousands of people to find happiness in life. And as with Chia, I could see myself in John, and maybe you can too. We're all scared of uncertainty. Giving up all you have to pursue a dream that may or may not work out. Loving someone with whole heart without guarantee. It's incredibly hard. But as John found, and I found, and I think you will find too, it's never as scary as it looks. And it leads to more possibilities and happiness in life. The last story.
Okay. So, you got to Shia, who eventually, through Ying's vocational training, learned to work at a hotel and eventually learned to do her own thing and take care of her own life. Reverberating back to Ying's thoughts when she went on the bungee jump. It's never as fearful as it looks. And it isn't. I mean, there are still things that overwhelm me because I want to have things become fearful. Let's just take a look and place that into a gentleman that she knew who was working in Hong Kong, had a good job, earning good money. He was a trader, was excessively unhappy, but afraid to leave anything. And this is what I want to compare it with now. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone, but how many people have looked at the refugee scheme? A lot of people are like, you know what, there is absolutely no hope. I need to take it. How many people that you know are afraid to take it? Because it is a big step. I don't think many actually comprehend. Some are out of absolute desperation. I've got to jump. But some, and I'm sure you know some people who know they need to, but are afraid to. And sometimes it's just talking to someone. He upped and left to Australia, came back as a hypnotherapist. Now, I know this plays out like a Hallmark movie because that's one thing I looked at and went, yeah, who's got the money to up and leave to Australia just because they suddenly feel they need to take a leap? I didn't like that example very much. What I'm using it more as an example is if you have to take that leap. I took a different leap about 7 years ago. I don't think you can prepare for the differences that face you, because there are always challenges that face you, challenges that you don't expect that hit you. But you are going to need to make the best of it. There are many people, as I said, who won't take up refugee status because they are fearful. Because even if it is going so bad for them, like Chia, who was in such a bad relationship, she did not want to leave what was familiar. So this is why I'm saying we talk about comfort zones often. Comfort zones do not always mean happy places. It means familiar places. How many people you know don't want to get out of the problems they have? How many times have you tried to help someone? And I know that all of you on this site or on the stream are people with huge hearts who have tried to help people. I also know that you people have also been hurt viciously from trying to help people. I know from your personal stories, and I'm not going to mention anybody's personal story, I'm not going to mention any, but I know people on the stream that have tried to help people, that have given their all. Because we're going to get to another point now, which is a huge fear, especially when you have walked the same line as what you guys have, when you have been so badly beaten up. Is there a time in your life that you have not pursued or made a decision because of fear of getting hurt, of being different, of being rejected, of being turned down? You might be in a situation that you need to get out of. But how are you dealing in that situation? And this is what I want you to take a look at, this next one. Her story makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm trying to get this across to the teenagers of today, because most of you will also know that when you are at our age, now if some of you are younger than me, I do apologize if I've just aged you a whole lot. But when you're at our age, it is more difficult to make any form of change because you are not in a safety zone. When you are a young teenager at school or leaving school, you should be facing more fears then than ever before. And this is what I'm trying, because teenagers these days are kept in a safety zone. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And you'll be fine. Don't vary from it. And only when they become our age do they suddenly realize they've got to do something else, or they've got to move some other way, or they haven't connected properly, and it's too late. I mean, my biggest regret is that I didn't do what I did 7 years ago, that I didn't do it 20 years ago. And it wasn't the easiest of things. I mean, the first week I got there, I mean, my words to you now is, what the hell have we done? We've got to get back. Not because our lives were better, but because I knew better. It was more familiar for me to be back home struggling than what it was for me to suddenly have opportunity. I'm like, no, I don't make this decision. But let's hear her story. This is the biggest one that I want you to take a look at, because this isn't changing your life. This is changing a connection.
It's about vulnerability. And the last story is about me. My love for my parents is the strongest emotion in my life. But in Asian culture, love is seldom expressed in words. It makes me feel extremely uncomfortable to tell them I love you, or to even share my feelings with them. Our daily conversation is a combination of what I had for lunch and what they had for dinner. The word courage came from Latin root cur, which means heart. And the original meaning of courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. I don't know why I have the courage to stand here today and share my story with you, but I don't have the courage to tell my parents I love you. They raised me with love, so much love. They made me believe I'm worthy of love, not because of what I achieve, but because of who I am. Yet I so desperately want to be this perfect child for them. I share my happiness and achievements and withhold my struggles and failures. And as I'm proud of my achievements, I didn't know that this created a huge emotional gap between us, and we no longer share the joy and pain of each other's life journey. I've been experiencing a tough time recently. A heartbroken ending of a 3-year relationship, many questions about friendship, and deep insecurity about future. A couple of weeks ago, I came back from an exhausting recruiting trip from New York. The moment I walked in my room in darkness, I experienced an emotional breakdown. I called my mom and burst into tears the moment I heard her voice. And for the next hour, and the first time in my life, I shared my struggles with her. And even though she hasn't been with me in this journey for so long, she understands exactly what I've been going through. The feeling of reconnection after so many years is like magic. In the end, I told her I love you. And she said, I love you too. It's the first time, remember, either of us has said that. I didn't expect what felt so uncomfortable previously came so natural and peacefully in the end. I see life as a constant fight against your comfort zone. You push it, it pushes back. What's the fear that's holding you back? What are you not saying or doing because it's outside your comfort zone? I challenge you to find that comfort zone today. Bravely step out of it. And as you get comfortable again, push it even further. Don't try to get rid of fear. Accept that you will be afraid, and then go do it anyway. As the word said, high on the bungee platform, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Thank you.
Okay. That is the one that actually hit home to me. I hope I haven't hit the mute button. That one actually hit home to me. Because we can sometimes be in difficult situations. But in that situation, there are relationships. And she was brought up in a relationship with her parents, lovingly, kindly, caringly. But her lifestyle, maybe the culture or whatever, was so, how can I say, conservative, stern, that they didn't show feelings. And she couldn't get to say until she actually had a breakdown one day when she got to speak to her mother. And she couldn't say to her mom for a long time. And only when she got to having this breakdown did she get to sharing her feelings, sharing her vulnerability, and saying, I love you to her mom. Now, how many of us are in a very, very difficult situation? But because we've got to be so strong, and I know that so many of you out there have to be strong for others. I know, be it a parent, be it a brother, be it a mother, be it a father, be it a sibling, a child, you've got to be strong for them. And what's holding you back is a fear of showing them how you feel. You can't connect that feeling. And I know, but you know what? Cowboys don't cry. South African cowboys don't cry. That can sometimes be the zone that you're in, is not being able to make a deeper connection because of the surrounding that you've been in, which doesn't make your life much better. Because you have so much to get out of. Can you not get out of it, or at least attempt to move out of it together? Which made me think again of the current situation in South Africa and with people needing to get out. There are people who are afraid to get out. There are people who are in a comfort zone, although it's killing them, and they need support. And the first people that need your support is your family, and your family, and probably a dear friend or something like that. But if you can't even put, and I'm not saying you can't do it because you're arrogant, I'm saying because maybe you feel you've got to be strong. There's so many of you out there that I know are bleeding because you've got to be strong. I mean, I know some of you are so sick, so helpless, and I don't mean helpless because you're pathetic. I mean helpless because you can't get there, that need that support. Make that connection with your family. Don't fear it. Show your vulnerability. Because together, to get out, you've got to be strong. Together, you need to make that connection. I'm sorry I didn't make many more connections. And I know this is probably not the echo thing that you want to, and I can see the viewing list dwindling like it's going bananas. But it's just something that I wanted to put out there because I want to refer back to Cam's statement in the beginning, which is so true. I am not saying for a single moment that anyone who is in a survival situation, which I know so many of you are in that survival zone. I'm not saying for one moment that you're sitting in a comfort zone. What I am saying is that you are struggling so much to be strong, to get out of there and to pull people out of there and to carry people. You're the fireman in a burning building and you're getting burnt while you're trying to carry people out. And you need to be vulnerable with the people closest to you so that you can form that relationship, that strength. There's people who've been hurt by relationship, hurt by family, hurt by business, hurt by goodness knows what. And you need that strength. I don't know. It's, you know, when I'm looking and I really, you guys are top of my prayer list sometimes as well, most of the times, because I would love to be able to solve all your problems. I would love to be able to make it go away. And not once am I thinking that you're in a comfort zone. But I'm thinking, what scares you? What scares you? And what can you do in a small way? And sometimes it's not going to make a difference to your situation, but it can make a difference to your relationship, is to rise above keeping yourself so strong that it hurts you so bad, that you cut yourself off so far. You all deserve more. You all deserve better. You don't deserve to live with the survival and the fear that you have. You need to have each other. Those of you who are left behind, together you can get out stronger. And I know the road is dark. I cannot tell you, for most of you, I cannot tell you that I know. It's an absolute blithering word, because most of you can turn around and say to me, Andre, you have no idea. You have no idea at how I feel. You have no idea the situation, the hopelessness I wake up with every day. I can only try and imagine for most of you. And if you look at the people around you, what are their comfort zones that you've got to help them out of? Not necessarily comfort situations. Because once again, I think there was a very, very wise statement made by Cameron. We're not always in a comfort situation. We're in a survival situation. But what fear is keeping us alone? probably not the echo you've wanted to hear today, but it's something that I wish that somebody would have told me when I was young, and we didn't have to deal with it now. And I'd hoped that my kids who aren't interested in the moment, because they're all just, you know what, they are comfortable at the moment. They have no worries. And I think a million things, or you can tell them a million things of how to approach their life. It's just that concerns and fears are not always comfortable. Sometimes it's familiar, and sometimes it's not having the support. And we've got to step over there. I don't know how to do it myself, so I cannot tell you more than what I can see. As I say, I don't agree with everything in this video, because the one part where she says the guy who was unhappy with his job upped and off to Australia. Well, if I could up and off to Australia and become a hypnotherapist and had the money to do all of that, why not? It's like a Hallmark movie. But yeah, I don't know if I've got anyone left. Last thing I wanted to take a look at is prophecies. How many of you decided that it's the end of the world? How many have heard it's the end of the world? The Pope was buried this weekend. And I don't know. Some people have said it's prophesied that he's the last Pope. There's countries that are apparently going to rise, and countries that are apparently going to fall, and countries that are going to join. And so-and-so has prophesied this, and so-and-so has prophesied that. How many believe in prophecies? I like to watch conspiracies, and I like to take a look and see what has been said about the conspiracies. Maybe we leave this to next week, but I'm going to plant the seed anyway, because I think it's time for me to just cut a bad stream. Are prophecies true? Do they come true? Are they pointed out? Are they predictable? Or are they post-created? Think about that. We'll chat about that next time. From my side, as I say, I apologize to you if it's not the stream you wanted. I know people can get angry about it. But sometimes, as I say, it's something that I looked at, and I've gone, and the more I've taught it, the more it has come to me and said, you know what? I need to get upstairs. But there's a couple of steps I've got to take getting up there. So I really hope that you find your steps that you can take. And I really hope and pray you get to where you're wanting to be. And I hope that you're able to plan the in-between and not the end zone, although for many of you, you do not see your end zone. I hope you have an awesome, awesome week. Take care of yourselves. Let's see what, sorry, Arbot, let's get to you quickly. Some prophecies have shown similarities in truth. You're 100% right. My question, and it's just my personal question on the prophecies, Albert, is how many of the prophecies that have been proven to be true were matched in hindsight, posthumously, and not pre? So when people have matched them, they haven't said, that's going to happen, there it happens. How many have said, oh, you know that prophecy over there that was written up about 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago, it was that thing that happened. They actually matched them posthumously. And I'm the first one that I am extremely fascinated by it, especially with Sino. Buzzy, I think it's just you and Arbot left. The rest has left the house already. And as I said, I'm sorry. But Arbot, I think we must actually have a whole chat on this one, because I think I just pushed on a couple of batteries in the process on this one over there. And as I said, I'm really, really sorry, but we'll talk prophecies next week. I think I'll just cut it there. because I've got a lot to digest and learn. And as I said, it was something, as I said to you, you know what? Sometimes you fear showing vulnerabilities to people. And I've shown you mine. How many are interested? I don't know. How many are not debatable? Well, I don't know. I've never actually said that anyone isn't surviving. What I have said is we need to be together. We need to like look at those little matches, those little sewings. You know, to make a blanket if we're cold, sometimes it's knitting a lot of squares together, and I'm not giving you an option out, just giving you the support. But I'll call it there. Guys, thank you very, very much. Those of you who listened, those of you who were on the ride. Yeah, some days are good, some days are not so good. But be it so, I hope your week is good. Arbot, thank you very, very much. But we'll chat prophecies next week because I like where you're going. And I think we'll actually lengthen that one out a bit again as well. Thank you very much for sticking around. Have an awesome, awesome week. Take care of yourselves. Be good. And if you can't be good, be kind. Cheers.